All good.
I, I was too late in trying to mute.
And the recording has started. Welcome to episode 10 of the pirate campaign. You are all off in Port Marley adventuring and definitely not causing any trouble whatsoever. That
Never.
said, while Bhajiri has been off, called away to see the elders of Port Marley, the rest of you were left on the vessel to your own devices, and no sooner had you gone up on deck, discovered that someone was trying to prevent the Cirrus being fully repaired, and that the replacement cannon for your ship had been stolen. Chasing down the thugs that had done so, you fought some of them, recovered your cannon, and realized after the battle that you had been watched the entire time by a familiar face, and that was a certain dwarf who some of you had seen in a tavern right at the beginning of the campaign. Except for Mug. Mug met this one later. The dwarf introduced himself to those who didn't know him by name and said that he had an offer for them from his boss, which he then proceeded to lead the party through to, and took them to the Shattered Hand Tavern, a familiar place for some, and it was there that they stumbled upon Merrisea, who had spent most of the time just gambling away, making new
Quite
friends,
successfully.
as the friends would definitely vouch for. The party met the owner of the establishment, or as they were introduced anyway, a man or human male that goes by the name the Fifth. He didn't explain why that was. He seems to be in charge of the Syndicate, which is the guild that seems to be offering all the assassination contracts and the dark dealings in the city, and seems to have some sort of understanding with the leadership. Something along the lines of a leave us alone and we'll leave you alone kind of deal. He was a little upset that a ambassador from Picard had been offering deals not so much via his organization and was muscling in on his turf, and made arrangements for the party to get the opportunity for some revenge served hot, in a agreement that any contracts on the heads of the crew would be dissolved on completion. In the meantime, Bhajiri has been meeting people and drinking fine wine, and finally been introduced to the elders of the city. And after a very, very short meeting in which the captain of the Argonaut has done most of the talking, has left with the captain and returning on his way back to the Cirrus somewhere around lunchtime with a letter in hand. So, Bhajiri, you'll have spent the morning explaining your role on the Cirrus in the capture of the ship and what you've found out so far in terms of the documentation and so on that you were aware of, and been given a letter of marque by the elders, which allows you to freely attack in the name of Port Marley and the Free Cities.
Hell yeah.
any vessel flying the flag of Shyak.
Deal.
You're feeling quite happy with the arrangement. The rest of you have spent time having a meal, getting ready, and just resting after a very eventful morning. Bingo has overdone himself on coffee beans and has had a massive coffee crash and has passed out on a pile of socks down in the bottom of the hull of the ship. And the rest of you have been somewhat biding your time, waiting for the afternoon to pass and night to fall. And I will bring you all together as Bhajiri sets foot back on the ship.
Glenn,
Yep.
one quick question.
Yep.
Was this the last time I needed to work on that attachment for the daddy?
No, you were going to do that once per day, and it is still the same day as you last worked.
Okay.
So, presuming you make it back to the ship by the end of the session, you will, in theory, probably get another chance.
Nice.
I do have a question as well. Has Mug been up to anything?
Mug followed the party around, and once returning to the ship, just sat and enjoyed drinks, waiting for the chance to fight for the night.
So he has been just tired and silently watched. Try to appear not too dumb.
And probably sulking a little bit because his contract for a certain bastard is, to all intents, null and void.
That has not been announced yet, right? Because technically they don't know that the bastard isn't.
Well, the fifth did say that any contracts set by the ambassador would not be honoured by the syndicate.
Oh, and he said by the ambassador, yeah. Okay.
Yep.
For the second there, I was like, wait, Gru?
Mug has been sad. Mug just wants good, honest work. You know. Mug just thinks this is good and honest work.
Maybe Mug should try to become a dancer for honest work.
Well, Mug doesn't know much about dancing, that's the problem. I don't think his charisma is quite at the level where he could be living from dancing.
Bhajiri, can I also get you to roll a perception check as you board the ship?
Yes, you certainly can. I roll those there dice.
And that would be a perception seeing.
Okay, so that would be a... Hang about. Okay, so basically I forgot where my dice are. So,
No rush.
give me a minute. I'm using a dice roller on the internet and...
The rest of you as well, you've genuinely rested and can either be wandering about the decks, gambling, anything you so choose to do. You notice, Bhajiri, that there is a hell of a lot of more workmen running around than was originally. Sorry.
Yeah, you broke out.
I did notice that they'd stop. You notice that there's a hell of a lot more workmen running around the Argonaut than when you left. Like, at least an extra 2 for every 1 that had been working when you left in the morning.
Bhajiri's gonna, like, look around and be like, well, I guess they're just helping with the finest. Let's just get on this. It's fun. And he just like keeps on just walking onto the ship quite happily. And he is just like trying to take note of who in the crew he can currently see, like, on deck and everywhere, and just be like, yes, who do I recognize, who don't I recognize? And, like, in his head, he's trying to put faces to names. Just want it to be the best captain he can be, you know?
Aww.
That's almost adorable.
People say that about me. They don't. They don't even go as far as to say almost.
Just to clarify, what time of the day is it?
So
Morning?
it is afternoon. It is getting very close to nightfall at this stage. It was lunch a few hours ago, and the lot of you have largely just been resting and relaxing, preparing for the fact that you're probably going to be up all night.
Oh, have you sold the box yet?
Currently, no, you still have the box as you got
Ooh.
distracted on your way to going
Yes.
to the market
Wish I
due
could
to a certain cannon running away from you.
Yes. I mean, Mug gets easily distracted anyway, so it's not a surprise. So I guess Mug would like to, when there's some time, sell that box for a good money. Good money. Which is probably, you know, anything shiny.
So the crew have been somewhat preoccupied as well with dealing with the sheer number of workmen, and the rest of you have been left to your own devices. The time has passed quite quickly, and after a couple of hours, what was the last thing you heard, Tarin? And we'll catch you up quickly.
It was that Bhajiri had been given some sort of okay to attack any ship. It was not long after that I
Okay.
got out.
I don't think you've missed heaps. I think it was largely just some clarification for Mug on whether the box had been sold.
Okay.
And I was just going to get into some of the other bits and pieces. The time has passed. You know what, Edric? You can roll a communication check, persuasion. Actually, no, make that seduction if you really want.
Yes.
Of course I want that. So that's 4 stunt points
Yep.
for a grand total of, that's 5, so that's, I don't have seduction. I do have etiquette. I don't think that would help me out in this, right?
Probably not. Politeness does help, but I think seduction is probably more up the alley of what you were after.
15.
She plays hard to get for quite a while, but yeah, you pass some time.
Oh, chicka, wow, wow.
If hammocks could squeak, this one was trying its hardest.
Oh my, wow. Doing it in a hammock. Okay. Yeah, I think the rest of us have just kind of gone to bed.
Yep.
Royally screwed. That is horrible. But also great.
In the meantime, also, Edric, after some time spent entertaining each other, she is actually going to turn around and say that she knows that you have plans to go back and visit the ambassador, and that she would like to come along if that's not too much trouble.
She'd like to come along?
Yes.
Okay. In that case, I'm gonna welcome her along, I guess. Ooh, can I give her one of the pistols from the armory? Just like, do you know how to use one of these?
She would shake her head slightly and go, I've not exactly been trained to use these, but I'm handy enough in my own way.
Okay. In that case, he's gonna instead of put the gun back on the rack, he's gonna stuff the pistol into one on his chest.
Yep. Noted.
Inventory +1 gun.
So, Bhajiri, are you going to do anything in particular as you've returned to ship, or just monitor the workmen and crew and how they're progressing with the repairs?
Bhajiri, yeah, that's he is going to mainly monitor the crew and all, but he's going to definitely he's going to find Tarin and take them aside and just be like, so this so the deserter from the crew, I think they have ties to this place called the Shattered Hand.
Oh, yeah, I know it. I know it.
You know it?
Well, well, so first, I accidentally ended up there with Mug, and then I took a contract out to kill somebody. Well, Mug did,
yeah.
but I joined in.
Yeah, I recall that because
yeah.
we were going to use Edric as like a fake bait. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then that's kind of being dissolved by Lady Alara. She basically pointed out it wasn't worth it. And then we kind of all somehow ended up back there again. After we rescued the cannon, we kind of got manhandled into going.
Huh? So wait, so you rescued a cannon? I am. I was drinking wine and this happens?
Well, so the cannon meant for our ship got stolen. So we chased down the cannon and the people who stole it and killed them. And then some dwarf called, I can't remember his name, Blackjay?
Yep.
Thank you. Took us to see some guy called the Fifth inside the Shattered Hand. So we kind of ended up there again. And then Merrisea was there as well. Yeah.
So, wait, so you found Merrisea in the... Okay. Huh. So she successfully must have followed the deserter back to the Shattered Hand like I did, but she got inside. Okay.
I'd like to cut in. I'm not sure successfully apprehended the deserter is what happened. She did, however, make a lot of money, but also pissed off quite a lot of people.
Oh. Okay. Right. Now my other question is, was this dwarf gentleman 21?
I'm afraid I don't know.
Oh, God,
You said he was Blackjay.
Oh, sorry.
Oh my god. And the game is now over. It's completed. We can't play anymore.
It didn't even occur to me that was what you were on about. I was like, I'm really sorry, I don't understand the question.
But no.
Okay. Bhajiri lost his train of thought. He doesn't know what's going on. Bhajiri came up. Well, Andrew came up with that joke, and then Bhajiri was stopped like noticing things properly. And yeah. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. It was brilliant.
That was majestic.
It gets the GM's seal of approval.
Oh lord.
That means
This
I
is
win,
such a
right?
fantastic episode already. I love it.
Oh, I'm sweating because I'm laughing so much.
Fucking hell.
Okay, so Bhajiri, because he when Tarin
Sorry.
questions it, but Bhajiri does obviously explain the 21 joke and then starts laughing hysterically to the point where probably workmen and crew are probably just like, what's he laughing about?
Tarin's just gonna stand there blushing because he's so embarrassed that he didn't get it. And he's gonna be kind of like shuffling and then trying doing that kind of awkward laughter, nervous giggle thing.
Bhajiri he calms himself and just like, oh, I'm so funny. So how many enemies did Merrisea make?
A few, I'd say.
Okay, we'll come to that hurdle when we get there.
But I think we kind of, she kind of might be all right. Because I'm fairly certain the people she pissed off are scared of the fifth and the blackjack guy, and they saw us with them, so she might be okay. I think. Get the impression the fifth guy is I'd say the saddest person around. So we have that going for us, I think.
So you're saying that I can't. And Bhajiri's like stifle some laughter. Andrew's gonna slap himself.
Did I leave myself open for another joke there by any chance?
It was another numbers thing. It was gonna be about the other four, but never mind. And Bhajiri's gonna be like, so why did this fifth person have? Why were you in the scene with this blackjack and number 5?
Well, we might have taken on another contract to assassinate an ambassador.
Bhajiri's still like trying to stifle laughter, but his features just drop and he's just like a kind of like thought bubble just appears above his head with just like with like an ellipsis followed by.
Oh right. Tarin's
Is this
good.
the one that?
Oh, sorry. Carry on. What were you saying? No, you go first. I was just going to say that Tara's going to start nervously babbling and being like, well, the ambassador was kind of a mean person, and then we stole the cannon, and he does that nervous babble thing where he just keeps talking and can't shut up.
Is this the same ambassador that had the lady in his cellar?
Yes.
Oh, okay, we'll sort that out then. And Bhajiri kind of like pats Tarin on the back and just like walks off.
Tara's just going to have a great big sigh of relief that the conversation is over, and like physically you can see him relax as he's not being questioned anymore.
And I feel like everybody else here can also have that sigh of relief. Yeah, Bhajiri's gonna have walked off to like check on the other workers and to see if Merrisea's not disappeared again.
Where are we? Is this still? Because she went to bed before the plan happening at midnight. So
Currently, you're all still on Cirrus, so unless anyone wants to do anything in particular, we can time skip ahead to closer to midnight.
The
Oh,
only
I
thing
wanted
I
to
have
sell
to...
the box.
Yep, you will have
Mug wanted to sell the box, yeah.
you will have time to duck across to the market if you so choose as well.
Anyone wants to help? Guys, anyone wants to help me sell the box? I don't know how much it's worth.
I take it Lady Alara and me are not nearby.
No, that's fine. Anyone who's nearby and keen on helping someone who can't remember numbers past 10 sell a box.
Tarin's not seen the market yet, so he's going to volunteer to help, but kind of really nervously because he's not yet sure where he stands with Mug.
Quick out of character
Yep.
mention there. One of the things that was mentioned in the other group as part of the shopping list is some clothing for Alara.
Oh,
Tarin will quite
okay.
happily do that. So
She also guaranteed that she'd get it back with interest as soon as she could.
Mug doesn't know what's interest, so Tarin will take care
yeah,
of that.
Tarin will take care of clothing for Lady Alara.
Yeah, and like considering what Mug would buy for her, I mean it would be hilarious. Mug can help you choose clothes for Lady
please.
Alara. There's going to be a sack involved, I think. I mean that's suitable clothing for anyone, right? It's cheap as well. You don't need to spend a lot of money on it.
oh god.
May or may not be actually looking up the cost of a sack and comparing.
It should be cheaper than actual clothing.
Oh dear.
So you do have plenty of time to make your way to the market, as that is actually relatively close to the ship. So, Mug, had you been to the market as well? Or, no, actually, neither of you had been to the market yet, from
No, I
memory.
don't think either of us were.
So, you depart the ship and make your way through the crowds of workmen and then the crowds of people that are busying themselves about their business for the afternoon and towards the evening, and find yourself approaching it's a large open square that is filled with sort of half tents, tarps, market stalls, and just tons and tons of produce. And surrounding it, leading up to the more wealthy area of the city, is a whole bunch of shop fronts and warehouses.
Okie dokie. Tarin's gonna sort of shuffle along with Mug, frantically looking left and right, trying to find any sort of market or stall which works for either something for Lady Alara or somewhere to sell the box.
I'll get you both to roll a perception seeing.
Oh. So Mug will be like, so little guy, you remember how much this box is worth?
No. Like that's an out of character no, I can't remember at all.
To be honest, I don't think anyone said anything about how much it actually was worth.
Alright.
Alara.
Yeah, Alara did.
Out
of character, I can remember.
She specifically said, I think, something along the lines of your weight in gold.
Yes.
Oh, you're waiting gold. Okay.
Yeah. And then that was to Mug, right?
Yep.
Would Mug remember this? Or should I roll an intelligence on that?
You know what? Roll an intelligence, see if you actually remember the phrase or the exact phrasing.
Yeah, because it's not a number, so he could possibly remember it. There's some chance he would remember. Numbers, I think, are unlikely. If you remember. Let me see.
And there we go.
Is it first perception or intelligence?
I'll get you to do the intelligence. Tarin, you, with what you just rolled there.
My perception's good anyway, and then I had a really good roll.
So you see you don't spend very much time looking around. You actually spot a clothing store that has tons of different types of clothes, piles of them, including a pile of socks that some of them look somewhat familiar. The other thing you notice is over in the corner of the market, not too far away from where you're standing, there is a stall where occasionally there seems to be someone going up and dropping cash and trading, but not actually taking anything away with them. And occasionally they're bringing stuff to it and exchanging it for cash.
Right.
You've seen
Okay.
similar stuff back home, and it reminds you very much of a fence.
Right. Okay. Well, I think Tarin's going to pinpoint that as the place to go then after the clothing. I think in terms of wanting to get rid of the box, he's going to suggest to Mug that they go to the fence type store first.
Yep.
Because first of all, he wants to get rid of the box. Second of all, then they can spend a long time in the clothing shop afterwards and allay any suspicions that people might have had at them being in the other stall.
Yep. So you make your way over and
I'm
approach.
guessing that Mug is not going to remember.
Mug, you don't remember the exact details. You just remember the word gold.
Okay. Ooh, shiny. It's worth shiny. It's very good.
So, as you approach this small stall, the human, somewhat pudgy shopkeep, for lack of a better description, because he doesn't appear to have an awful lot of stock, looks you both over and raises an eyebrow. And with a sort of half smirk goes, "And how can shilling help you today?"
Well,
I have this box that I want to sell. I want gold for it.
Tarin's just going to groan and be like, so...
Mug just shows the box.
He's going to look between Tarin and the Mug, and then his eyes are just going to look at the box and light up.
His eyes what?
Light up. He seems very interested in this box. He goes, "Now that is a pretty little puzzle box. Haven't seen one of those in a while."
How many gold pieces you giving for it?
Tarin's just going to be like actually face palming at this point.
The human just is now openly grinning, and if he had enough teeth in his mouth to do it, he'd be grinning like a shark. And he's going to look at you, Mug, and go, "And how many gold pieces do you think it's worth?"
And Mug,
Hey, I'm asking the questions here.
Tarin's going to push Mug slightly backwards and step in front and be like, "I think you're well aware of how much it's worth. Thank you."
Yes, it's worth a lot. I'm asking the questions here. I don't count. You just tell me how much.
He looks between the two of you, holds his hands up, and goes, all right, I get it." And then he's gonna...
Yeah, this smart guy over here counts it. You tell me how much.
He's gonna look around the market and then drop his voice to a hush and go, "And I'm going to presume that this particular box came into your hands from outside of Port Marley?
You would be correct in that assumption.
Yeah, I think so. I picked it up. Where did I pick it up? I can't remember, but not here.
It doesn't matter. We just said it didn't come from here.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, here's the deal. I think I've got a buyer for that one, and because of that, I can offer you a good deal commission up front.
Which is?
I'll give you 100 gold pieces for that box. Right here, no questions asked.
Tarin's going to ponder this for a while. Is it out of character? Is that a good amount, or should she be trying to get more?
For an actual silver box, that is an insane amount.
Okay, so that is appropriate to what he thinks is inside the box.
Yep.
Or what his buyer thinks is inside the box. Okay, that's fine.
Well, to be honest, from what you know of the box, it's probably a lot less than you would actually sell it for if it had what you knew was meant to be in there still in it.
Right, so Tarin is going to come to the conclusion that she should be trying to get more for it, because otherwise he'll be suspicious.
Yeah. You know that you're somewhat being scammed, but it's not by a huge, staggering amount.
Okay.
Wait, Marcus. I was told this is worth its weight in gold, and he points at the box because he can't remember correctly.
Tarin turns around and says, "No, your weight in gold."
But my weight, I can't imagine that much gold in the world.
Oh, my sweet, sweet dwarf, you have no idea.
Sorry, was that?
The fence laughs and goes, "My sweet, sweet dwarf, you have no idea." And then he looks at both you and at Tarin and says, "Obviously, you've had it appraised by someone with a fine eye before you brought it past my shop, so I'll be fair.
That's good to hear.
300 gold pieces. And I'm going to have to say at that price, though, take it or leave it."
300 pieces, and a promise that you never tell that we were the ones who sold it to you.
Well, that's just good business. No names change hands at this stall, just good produce.
Yeah, you don't even know our names, right, Tarin?
Oh, no. Tarin goes incredibly pale. Give Mug the sternest glare he could possibly, create. And be like,
I just had to do that, sorry.
and just whisper under his breath, "I thank God that's not my real name." He's going to look at the dealer really sharply and be like, "You didn't hear that. Have a deal."
He holds his a hand out and goes, "My lips are sealed."
It's good doing business with you. And Tarin shakes his hand.
He gives it a firm shake.
Nice.
And then he pulls out from underneath his counter a sealed lockbox, takes a key from around his neck and opens it and turns it to face you, and shows a large number of stacked coins. So,
Mug is like,
Mug, this is more gold than you've physically seen in your lifetime.
Yeah.
Tarin, a quick check indicates that you're pretty certain that it's got the 300 in there.
Fantastic.
He closes the box, locks it again, and hands you the key.
Mm-hmm.
And then looks across at the silver box and goes, "I believe that's a fair trade."
Agreed.
And then he's going to hold his hands out for the silver box.
Mug hands over the silver box and just takes the gold, I guess.
He nods to you both and goes, and that was an absolute pleasure doing business with you both. He turns to face the back of his shop and winks at a small child standing there and goes, "Man this shop for me, will ya? I've got a delivery to make." And then he just saunters on off.
At which point, Tarin's gonna sharply say to Mug, "Follow me," and just turn around and walk towards the clothing shop. Had quite enough of Mug today already.
Is Muggus just going to hold the gold in his hands, or was it given in a pouch? Or?
It was given in a small chest. So.
Oh, okay. So Mug is like reverently holding the chest and staring at it and not quite paying attention to Tarin, but following.
Tarin's gonna turn around to check on Mug and see him just holding the box out in front of him and be like, "Hide it! Hide it!"
Where do you hide these things? Like, Mug is not quite wearing enough clothing to be hiding anything, to be honest.
Tarin's going to offer to put it in his backpack, so at least then it's hidden from the general view.
Yep. To your knowledge,
Mug doesn't want to let go of it. So.
Tarin advises Mug that the likelihood he'll be able to keep the gold drops dramatically if he keeps it open for all to see.
Well, we can just close the chest and no one will know what's in the chest.
I think they'll be able to guess.
How would they know? They can't see it into it.
Well, it's a fairly obviously heavy box, big enough to hold a substantial amount of money, and quite a few people have just seen us go from that stall, and most will know what that stall means. So I highly suggest we hide said box before anybody makes the connection.
Wait, is this how people keep money?
Yes, that's very true. How people keep money.
I will be looking out for boxes from now on, then.
Tarin's just gonna shake his head, grab the box and put it in his backpack and be like, "Don't worry, I'll keep it safe. Now follow me."
you make your way from the fence back to the clothing store and find, as previously mentioned, huge arrays of clothing from all types, from simple smocks all the way up to the most ridiculous outfits you could ever possibly imagine.
Okay.
You see
Oh, sorry, carry on.
I was about to say, you see a couple of piles of socks, and one pile in particular is striking as it is only odd socks.
Can Tarin work out that Bingo's been here? Do I need to roll anything? Or
With your perception, you've pretty much worked out based on the odd socks and the fact that you've seen Bingo wearing a very familiar pair. Then you pretty certain that Bingo has been here.
Okay, cool. In which case, Tarin's gonna kind of station Mug in a corner and be like, "Stay here," and like rifle through all the clothes with like a great big grin on his face, because this is heaven for Tarin. He's going to be looking for something feminine but like useful, so not something too overly frilly or something that's going to get in Lady Alara's way. So probably something like trousers and a top and some sort of waistcoaty corset type stuff.
It doesn't take you...
Mug is like, well, what are we looking for?
Something for Lady Alara. She needs some clothes, not a sack.
Why? What's wrong with this sack? It's perfectly good clothing.
Not for somebody who has lady in front of her name.
What's a lady?
I'm not even sure I know how to describe one to you. somebody with lots more money than you have.
More than 300 golds.
Much more.
Really? People have that much money?
Yes, they do. That's why.
How
we
do I
have to
become a lady then?
Sorry. Okay, sorry. Tarin's just gonna stare blankly at Mug for a good 10 seconds and be like, "You'll have to ask Lady Alara," and then turn back around to rifling through the closet.
Oh, of course she's gonna pass it off to someone else.
Right, that makes sense. I'm sure Lady Alara knows how you become a lady.
Exactly. Sorry.
It doesn't take you
Good
too
call,
long,
Tarin.
but you do manage to find the appropriate clothing, and a shopkeep comes over and looks it all over and says, "For all that, I can part with that for only about 30 coppers. It's definitely all brand new and in good order."
Oh, brilliant. That
That's
sounds
a lot
wonderful.
of coppers for clothing. I usually spend 2 coppers.
It's fine, Mug. They're for a lady, remember? Ladies have different types of clothes.
The the shopkeep looks first at you, Tarin, and then across at Mug, and then goes and grabs a couple of extra items and throws it on the pile and winks and goes, "You'll need those too, love."
Are they for me or for Mug?
They appear to be feminine. There's additional, so long gloves and some stockings to go with what you've
Oh, I
picked up.
see. So they're for Lady Alara, I see.
Yeah, she heard the word lady.
Ah, fantastic. Were they kind of useful clothing, or was it more like fluffy, like frilly stuff?
They are utilitarian. They're useful, and they're not going to exactly get in the way.
All right, cool. Yeah, that would be lovely. How much would that be?
Altogether for that, I can let you get away with that for about 45 coppers. All in.
Fantastic.
15 coppers for these tiny pieces of clothing. What do you do even with these?
Well, this is a wholesale store, so I can definitely say that they sell for a lot more in a retail shop, especially up north.
I think it's quite reasonable. That would be wonderful.
Where do you put these things? Like, they're so tiny. That's not even a dress.
The shopkeeper's looking slowly more and more horrified.
Tarin's going to cut in quickly and be like, while I've got you here, do you have any clothes, like trousers and tunics or anything that I could use instead? Mine are a bit old now.
Yes, we can definitely sort you out. Do you want just cloth jerkins and tunics, or did you want something a little bit more sturdier?
Something light and leathery.
Wait, your clothes are not even completely ripped yet. Why are you replacing them?
I'd rather they have no rips at all. Sorry, I've just seen Edric's comment.
Sorry.
The shopkeep smiles and goes, "I'm certain we can find something appropriate for you. Did you want something that's a little bit more close cut, or did you want something that you can suitably keep all your equipment under?"
Something I can suitably keep all my equipment under. And if you have any long stretches of fabric would be useful as well. Just plain, doesn't matter, anything cheap.
That we've got in abundance.
Brilliant.
So the shopkeep wanders off and then eventually comes back with a large leather trench-style coat that buttons up the front. And looks back across at you and goes, did you have a particular length of cloth or material that you're after?
Just a long band of fabric.
About 1 meter, 2 meters?
A meter or two would be wonderful, thank you. Out of character, it's so he can bind her chest, if that makes sense. So she can bind her chest, basically.
Yeah.
So she wanders off and comes back with long strips of cloth, measures it up, and then pulls out the largest pair of scissors you've seen in your life and cuts it. And then takes it all over and rolls the cloth up and goes, we tend to use this for medical bandages and the like, but that's about 3 or 4 meters of it there for you. It's ridiculously cheap. We get it, as you can see, and just a loose gesture behind, there's like absolute rolls of it. So it will be just 2 coppers for that, and the jacket will be 2 silver pieces.
Wonderful. Can I have... Yes, I'll take it all then, please. Thank you.
Wait, shiny pieces for clothing.
Well, it is leather, so it's not like it's, you know, cloth.
Every time Mug has spoken so far, you see the, like, shopkeep die a little more inside.
I mean, Mug is basically wearing rags, and he seems completely comfortable wearing rags.
The shopkeep leans ever so slightly closer to you, Tarin. It's like...
What was that, sorry?
The shopkeep leans ever so slightly closer to you, Tarin, and goes, I think you need a slightly better class of servant.
He's unfortunately not my servant, he's my crewmate.
I am so sorry for you.
Perfectly good clothing. Look, it's still on my body and covers all of my private parts. It fits all of the requirements. It fits all my needs. It's very breezy as well.
The second you say that, she goes a bit green.
Amazing.
Tarin's gonna lean closer to the shopkeep and be like, anything cheap I could buy him as well.
I don't need anything new. Don't waste money on that.
It's a present for helping me out so much.
Okay then.
The shopkeep goes and quickly rushes off and comes back with some clothing. They're just very utilitarian, but they're in dwarven size. And then hands it across to you and just goes, these are on the house. That one needs help. And then just walks away.
Tarin follows and pays him for all of her clothes, the clothes that she's bought. How much was that in total, by the way?
So it was 45 for
coppers.
Alara's clothes. And then for yours, it was 2 silver pieces plus another 2 coppers.
Okay.
Sorry,
much
2
was it?
silver. Let me check.
2 silver
So,
and 2 coppers.
45 plus 2 plus 200. Comes up to 247 coppers.
Okay. I have 35 silver because I actually hadn't bought anything with my original money.
Yeah, so
So-
you can strike off 3 silver and put on 53 copper.
Silver and 53 copper.
You is rich.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, it's starting to get dark, and just as the night before, you're starting to see all the guards gather out and rushing. People are rushing to shut down shops and make their way home. with all your loot, you make your way back to the Cirrus, unless you have anything else you plan to do.
No. No, I think Tarin's had enough shopping for the day.
So you make your way back to the Cirrus, and you arrive just as curfew gets called.
Fantastic. Good
Roughly from what you remember, you'd only have about another hour or two before Blackjay turns up.
Tarin's going to depart from Mug as soon as possible.
Smart.
I think Mug is like, I've never had clothing this new and
Yeah,
good.
that's true. Tarin's gonna give Mug his clothing and his box of money, and with the advice to stash it somewhere that nobody will find it, but that where he will remember, or
Oh,
if not, tell
that's a
somebody.
Mug will think very hard about this.
Tarin's also going to suggest if Mug can't remember, he tell Captain Bhajiri because he's trustworthy.
Okay.
And then he's going to head to the armory to give Lady Alara her clothing.
Glenn,
Yep.
just how long did that shopping take them compared to?
Am I going to walk in on an awkward scene?
You know what? For shits and giggles, can you roll a Constitution check?
Who, me?
No,
Oh.
Edric. Did you just 666?
No, it's just 2 5s and a 4,
Oh.
and then that's
Nice.
Constitution, so that's another 3, is 17 total.
I'd say you've probably not been finished for very long.
Sorry. So Tarin's going to knock at least before she walks in.
You hear a squeak in Alara's voice, and then a thud. Edric, Alara has sat bolt upright, which has swung the hammock and toppled her flat out.
Oh.
Uh-oh. I'm gonna try to get up and help her up, and then hand her the coat so that she can at least hide behind my coat.
She quickly throws the coat over herself. It's pretty much all she's wearing right now.
Am I just going to walk through the door, or does he have to unlock the door and let me in first?
No, because Edric is there, the door's not locked,
Okay.
I fear.
So Tarin's going to guess with what might have been happening, because of out of character reasons, why she might understand what that sound meant and the squeak meant. Going to knock the door, walk in with their eyes covered, and be like, "Thought you might like these." Drop the clothes, shut the door, and walk back out.
Edric, Alara is a very, very bright shade of red, but she very quickly rushes over, picks up the pile of clothes, and is now sorting it on one of your benches.
Edric's face is matching his beard now.
You hear a very soft, "Thank you for the coat."
You're welcome. I'm just glad Tarin looked away, I guess. Because at that point, Edric realizes that he didn't really cover anything up.
Just a whole lot of beard.
You hear a slight giggle from Alara.
Edric's gonna turn like one shade brighter red, and then he's gonna quickly get dressed. But he's not gonna pull up the hood and scarf yet, and he's gonna bring his helmet.
So Alara quickly dresses herself, holds out your coat for you, Edric, and kisses Edric on the cheek, and then says, "I'll meet you out in the mess. I believe we have guests that are going to be arriving soon."
Yes, we best get ready. If there's anything you need, just say so.
I will. And then she walks on out.
Idric's like teasingly gonna say, "My lady," as she walks out. You know, just like with a little curtsy.
With a flouncy bow.
Yep.
She just looks over her shoulder and smirks at you a bit. If
I'm gonna follow her.
Yeah. And if anyone else is in the mess, she will politely wave and smile to you. It doesn't take very long, but that last hour or two passes pretty quickly. And with all the crew fed and going about their business, the work finished for the day, it's not hard to hear when someone else enters the ship, and Blackjack and his companion stride brazenly down and into the mess. Look around and spot those of you that have already gathered there. I guess it's about time that you gather all your friends up and we go pay a friend of ours a visit.
Is there one of those bells in the mess hall that is normally used to
Yep.
like sound everybody in? I'm gonna headbutt it to try and like gain attention as quick as possible from everyone. Like just full on headbutt the bell.
Some of the crew look across in confusion, but it does get the attention of nearly everyone else. If anyone is not actually in the mess at this second, I will get you to roll a perception hearing, though.
I'm probably not around, am I?
Up to you whether you've made your way to get food or still there drinking after
I think
dinner.
Mug is trying to figure out where to hide his money and how to change into clothing because he hasn't worn clothing before.
Based on that, I will get you to do a dexterity check.
Not an intelligence one.
It
Or
will
both?
it will be a dexterity, and then I will just
For
double.
hiding the money, is that
Yeah.
going to be intelligence or this?
No, it'll be dex. As to how well you do it. As for your clothing, yeah, just for laughs. If you really want to, roll an intelligence.
Just give me a moment.
Oh, good.
Edric is gonna awkwardly glance at Tarin for a second.
Tarin's just gonna give him a coy smile and a bit of a like kind of well done kind of face and like maybe a thumbs up or something.
Oh, I'm rolling the dexterity first, right?
Yep.
Sorry.
Just like that.
You got laid, yeah.
Alara sees this, looks at you, Tarin, and winks.
So say.
my dexterity bonus is 2, right? I think.
Yep. So you find some
Okay.
you find some boards that are still a bit loose in one of the rooms, and you pry them back and shove the box in there, and then just push the boards as close back into position as possible. To the best of your knowledge, you've hidden it. You then do the arduous task of putting your clothing on.
I've not figured it out how it works. Have I?
You've managed to put the pants on, but they're back to front and unzipped.
Oh lord.
I mean, there's probably a zipper because that's too. Is a zipper too modern? So
Yeah,
it's-
maybe like a button.
Well,
that's
unbuttoned at the back.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
like a butt flap.
And some
His butt is showing.
Yeah.
and the shirt that you've tried to put on, you're like struggling with these, as you put it, two small holes that you can't get in. For the educated, you've been trying to climb in through an armhole the entire time.
For the educated, I love it.
You're still in the process of that as you walk out into the mess.
Like, does anyone know how to put these on?
Tarin's
Oh.
just gonna drop his head onto the table with a loud bang.
At your question, Mug, nearly everyone in the crew slowly puts their hands up with the biggest smirks on their faces.
So can any of you fuckers help me?
Some of them
Still
look.
banging his head on the table.
Bhajiri will offer to help.
See the captain move. Half the crew seem to visibly sigh in relief, and the other half are just sitting back, knocking back drinks, and waiting to watch the show. Bhajiri, I'll get you to roll a dex to see how well you succeed with Mug trying to help you. In the meantime, Blackjack is watching this and face palming the hardest you've ever seen a dwarf face palm.
How is the elf feeling about this?
His companion standing behind him is laughing uproariously.
No, I mean our elf, the one that Merrisea likes.
Neros.
Yeah.
Neros is just... You don't even know what expression is on its face. It's somewhere between confusion and shock. And just downright amusement.
So is it just straight dex?
Yep, just straight dex.
Damn it! I thought my dex riding would help.
You know what?
I missed what you're rolling for. Are you rolling to get Mug dressed?
Yes.
Yes.
All things considered, you know what? I'll let you go with the riding.
Amazing.
Bless you.
It is like trying to put clothing onto a bucking bull. You literally have to jump on Mug's back with your legs. And with your arms, you're trying to shove this shirt down over his head while he's flailing and not get hit.
I mean, this is
It's
just...
good training.
You eventually succeed, minimal damage, and Mug looks somewhat more respectable.
Just a quick question: how much of the crew is laughing?
95% or more, I'd assume.
Nothing more than
Some of them are
100%.
laughing, but quite a few of them, halfway through this spectacle, have begun cheering for you. A small group in the corner have been betting to see how long you can stay on the dwarf.
Amazing.
After Bhajiri succeeds or doesn't die, he will take note of the ones who are making bets.
Oh,
You will then walk over to them and be like, "So, what were all the bets? Who bet the highest amount of time on there? Who bet that I wouldn't succeed?"
One of the more wiry guys goes, "To be honest, Captain, after seeing you in a fight, I thought you could be up there all day."
Don't. Okay, well, if you think that, who bet against me succeed? Bhajiri puts his hand on the shoulder of this crew member.
One of the other crews winks at you, Captain, and goes, "Well, to be fair, I've seen the dwarf in a fight as well."
Bhajiri's going to cackle and just be like, "Oh, that's a good point." And then he's gonna laugh and he's gonna start walking away. Then turn his head to the ones who are making the bets and be like, "Doesn't stop you guys from swabbing the decks tomorrow."
You hear all four of them swear, but they just grin and nod.
Bhajiri makes a mental note to get them an extra round of drinks later.
Blackjack seems to slowly pull himself together and goes, "Well, if you're all ready."
yes, we have a head to collect.
"Yes, we do." He just looks back at you, Mug, shakes his head and goes, "And the sooner the better." Because I think I need a stiff drink. He turns and leads the way back up onto deck. And then heads down the gangway and into the city, walking roughly in the general direction of the embassies.
Edric is gonna pull the scarf down, pull the hood off, put on the helmet, like the helmet that he got back home.
Yep.
That one. And he's gonna add the scarf to hide his beard again.
Noted.
Subtle.
Was that not seen by anybody, or was that?
That was in the middle of this room.
So
So
could we have potentially seen that you look like the?
Oh, you could have very well seen the beard, the tattoos, and the mohawk, or braided
Okay.
mohawk.
Yep. Everyone who has seen the poster can roll a perception check to see if they made the connection. And in the meantime, as you started walking towards the embassy, or more to the point, since before that,
Oh.
our friend has done that.
I got a very good perception. my perception is normally +2, right?
Right, Tarin, yep, you've seen.
I have a +2 on perception, right?
I believe so. I don't actually have your sheet up at the second.
Did
Yeah,
Bhajiri get any look, or
It was in the middle of the room, so if you were in the room, I just.
Yep, Mug, you recognize the face that was on the poster, although the nose seems to be wrong.
Yes, they failed on the
wait.
nose.
Yeah, so I recognize that on the poster we had Edric.
Yep.
Okay.
No, you had Silas on the poster.
Oh, so, well, no, Mug can't remember that. Mug will be like, "Oh, you were on the poster. You're the bastard."
Oi, have you seen that nose? My nose is much different.
No, you are the bastard. Are you not the bastard?
As far
You
as
look
I
like
know,
the bastard.
as far as I know, I don't have any parents, so honestly,
So
I don't
you
know.
were on the poster.
Oh gosh, Edric, was there a poster of you? I must have missed that.
It wasn't me. The nose was much different.
Oh,
No, it was
a
definitely
brother,
him.
perhaps.
That could be. I guess it. I mean, I'm Edric, and the poster said Silas as well, so must have been a brother or something.
But if you don't know your parents, you don't have a brother, do you?
I don't
I'm very
know if
clever,
I have a
see?
brother.
Tarin's gonna cut in and be like, you know, he doesn't look that similar. I think you might be right. Maybe he has a brother he didn't know about. I think Mug, maybe it's somebody different.
No. I definitely remember it. Like, this is my one moment that I remember something well. So I know it was him. It's the same face. Like, even the nose is similar, just not exactly the same.
Alara's going to smile very sweetly at you, Mug, and go, but no one's paying for that poster anymore, are they?
Maybe.
Because
I
aren't you
can't
all off to
remember.
visit the person who offered it?
If they will pay me, yes.
Well, I don't think they're going to pay you if you go and kill them.
Okay, if they don't pay me, then I don't want to visit them.
Okay, you're allowed to guard the ship while we go and kill the guy.
Why are you killing him?
Because that's the job we took.
Are we getting paid for it?
It's why the ship is being built faster.
Oh, okay, then I will guard the ship. If I don't get paid for it.
Alara looks kind of slyly at you, Edric, and then turns and... Alara looks slyly at you, Edric, and then smiles at Mug and goes, and how about we pay you?
That could work.
Oh, yeah, sure. What are you paying me? Oh.
Well,
I have several... I think I have hundreds of golds now. Are you going to pay me in gold?
I think I can find a way to get you more gold.
Oh, really? I accept then. I accept.
All I can say is that their ambassador's wealth is forfeit for what he is doing. And I believe your companions here would be happy to split the proceeds.
What's forfeit and proceeds?
She
It
smiles.
means it's ours if we kill him.
Oh, okay. Let's get his money then.
Alara smirks as she walks past you, Edric, smacks you on the backside, and walks up onto the deck.
This is going to be the first time that the people in this room are going to see Big Blush. Except for possibly Tarin.
He had his eyes covered, remember?
Oh yeah, good.
Sorry, had to find the appropriate. So you make your way up on deck and follow Blackjack in towards the city. And as you go, he, after pulling himself together and finishing muttering about shame on dwarves, he looks towards you, Edric, and goes, well, you've had a great deal of time to put something together. You come up with a plan?
Yep.
Good. You'll probably need it.
We have a foolproof plan.
Excellent. I'd love to
Does
hear
Tarin
it.
hold up his hands and be like, could somebody tell me the plan?
Yeah, of course.
I would also want to know.
Yeah, of course. And Edric's gonna look around real smug. And he goes, so, we go in. I shoot the fucker in the face till he dies. Someone decapitates him for me. I send the
Oh, I
head
can do
to
that.
my dad.
Oh, this sounds like a good plan. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Tarin's just gonna look a bit shocked, be like, sure, we'll do that then. Okay."
Jack has sort of stopped for a second and is giving you a thorough look like this. Just a deadpan stare of, you're going to get us all killed.
That's what I said.
I believe you said that several times during the planning phase.
And that
So-
you have to make sure everyone gets out alive.
Let me get this straight. You
Oh, yeah,
want to
true.
walk in the front door.
No, we know
No,
the
the
back
kitchen
door.
door, which is locked.
Yeah, we kick it in. It's not like they're gonna
It'll
need
create
it.
noise.
Yeah, so
Okay.
fuckers who come.
Well, you were coming up with this masterful plan. Myself and Spades was casing the embassy to see what the ambassador was up to.
That could have been a good idea. We need to learn from you.
Heavens help us all. Yes, you do.
So where do we shoot him?
Well, first and foremost, I would recommend anything that makes a lot of noise, like your guns, be used as a last resort. The ambassador has not been just sitting around all day on his backside, and has hired a number of mercenaries.
Okay, so how about I just punch him then? I'm sure he will die.
Oh, I would pay to see you punch one of these guys in the face.
In the face. Have you seen how short he is?
And that's why I would pay. And then he turns around and looks at you, Mug, and goes, for the love of your entire lineage, don't. And then he turns back to you, Edric, and goes,
I don't really have a lineage, but there we go.
he turns back to the rest of you, shaking his head. As far as we can tell, the ambassador's hired somewhere in the realm of 20 very armored mercenaries to protect the estates. Something about the fact that he doesn't trust his guards anymore. They're not to be trifled with, and we are going to have to try and get past them without alerting them.
Edric's gonna look at his guns and the newly acquired pistol as well. And he's gonna look at Spades and then at Blackjack and at everybody in the room, and he'd go, but if I can't use pistols, the fuck am I supposed to do then?
Yeah, I think the easiest is if we just kill them all. That's the easiest solution.
Blackjack
complicate
just
this
walks back, like just turns, throws his hands up in the air and goes, go in the front door if you must.
Ooh, we can split up. I can shoot fuckers in the front door. You go through the back door. You murder the guys from their backside, and then they die.
I disagree with that plan. If you are shooting people whilst out on the streets, maybe the other guards in the city will have an issue with it.
Well,
And,
wait, this is getting too complicated for me to follow.
Blackjack points at
Also,
you, Bhajiri, and goes, give that man a medal.
Also, I hate to be a spoil sport, but I think we're only supposed to be killing one person. Not everybody that we see. I think that's how assassination works. This is my first time, obviously.
You are clearly a spoil sport. We can kill as many people as we want.
Not really what I signed up for, but wonderful. Sure, I'll come along, I suppose.
What if we incapacitate all the mercenaries? Would that work?
What, by
What is
kneecapping them?
encompass?
Um,
Do I cut their heads off?
No.
Blackjack will just chuckle like he's starting to lose the plot now and go, that'll work, but I don't think that's what she meant.
What I meant was
What he meant.
Whatever
what I meant
floats your boat.
is most. I'm assuming most of these mercenaries are men, right? And he looks at Blackjack.
Yes.
Well, as a general rule of thumb, men tend to have, especially mercenaries, tend to have two weaknesses: women and alcohol.
Oh yes, I remember.
I'm
I
not
was meant to
giving them my
seduce the.
alcohol.
I was going to seduce the man. That was part of the plan, wasn't it? Lovely.
Well, I was
Blackjack is slightly dying inside just watching this all unfold. Spades is behind him laughing again.
Well, that's not too far off what I was thinking, but with a little distraction from some of the women and maybe some people dressed as women, the mercenaries might be inclined to drink something that could put them to sleep.
Permanently.
No, just long enough for us to assassinate the ambassador. But
I believe that they are well aware that there is an attempt to do in the ambassador. I think they will be somewhat on their guard. Taking
Really?
drinks from strangers would probably not make them the best, well, mercenaries for the job, so I am certain, and don't get me wrong here, I don't have anything personally wrong with their line of work, but they're a little bit too stick up their asses to take any drinks from even the prettiest lady, and he's going to gesture at Alara there.
Okay, so we can just.
Merrisea is going to
concentrate
sulk
then.
that she wasn't gestured at.
Bhajiri will also sulk.
Edric's gonna glance from the guy back to Alara, back to the guy, and then slowly move his hand to his pistol, but not do anything else.
If you're all stuck for an idea, how about we do this a slightly easier way? Spades and I can cause a distraction that will lure the guards out into the streets looking for the syndicate. Use that as an opportunity to get in the back. Just be aware that they're most likely not going to be stupid and send everyone after us.
So we sneak in the back, but what weapon could I bring if I'm not allowed to pistol?
Frankly, strangle him with your hands for all I care. Just get the job done.
Okay. Can I look around for like a piece of string or wire? Or even chain if like string or wire isn't an option.
Bhajiri is going to, because he's got his spear, but he's also got a two-handed maul, and he's going to look Edric up and down and be like, "Do you want to borrow this
A hammer?
big hammer, two-handed hammer?
No blood.
No, well, yeah, no blood. That's fine."
Good.
You see Blackjack walk off a few meters and wave over Spades, then they talk to each other for a bit. And then he reapproaches and goes, "You're going to hear a really loud bang when this kicks off. The second you hear that, get in that back door and get in there fast."
Okay.
quick out of character question: are there windows that are potentially clamberable? Clamberable. Yeah, let's go with that.
So there's a couple of windows. Most of them are on the ground floor, but there is, to your knowledge, about 2 windows on the back, 1 on the side, and a couple up the front. There is a balcony on the second story at the front.
Okay. And do we have a general idea of does any window does any of the windowed windows lead to the room where this fella probably is?
You wouldn't be 100% certain based on your last visit. Most of the windows would have had large curtains and so on them drawn, so you wouldn't have been able to see much in them. And even if you did, you would potentially see largely just ceiling, just based on the angle.
And are all of the windows low? Well, I'll ask for when we're around the back.
Yep.
I'll check around the back.
So you approach following Blackjack and Spades and split from them as they make their way towards the front gate. And find a patch of wall and begin to climb over it. I won't actually get you to do any checks for that because as a group you will be able to get each other over.
So we're all rolling. What kind of check was it?
What I will do is I'll ask actually who is going to be the first one over and who is going to be the last one over
Sounds
the wall.
good out there.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'll ask who's going to be the first one over the wall and who is going to be the last.
Edric's really eager to go and kill this guy, so Edric's going like quite early. But before we hop over, Edric's gonna ask one thing of the crew that's going in. Like, can we keep him alive for a little bit? I have something I need to say. I need him to know before he dies.
That seems reasonable.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
I'm still not really sure how to kill a man, so I'm fine.
It's not that bad. Don't
I
worry.
would try my best, but I can't guarantee anything. I mean, they die so easily.
So
It's like
Edric,
they're made of glass.
if you're going over first, I'll get you to roll a dexterity climb.
6 for 3 is 13, but it's dexterity, so plus 3 is 16.
Yep, so you nimbly leap up onto the wall and park your backside there and then lean down and start offering a hand to help the others climb over. And
Is Lady Alada joining us?
Yep.
Okay.
And who's going to be the last one over?
Bhajiri's going to be last over.
Yep, I'll get a dex from you just to get you to climb over as well, since you won't have anyone ground level to help you.
Since climbing is a strength skill, could I argue for strength or...
Oh, actually, sorry, yes, strength.
Okay.
Wait, so I looked at by using dexterity?
Yes. Sorry, I wasn't actually looking at the chart when I
You
called that one.
want me to reroll for strength, or...?
Nah, that's fine.
Oh, strength would be 1 point lower.
You still made it over either way.
Also, the first person has other people to lift him up to get over, so it's not so much strength as...
Balancing on it all. Yep.
Yeah. Whereas the last person doesn't have anybody to help them get over, so strength is more necessary.
Fair.
Yep, and you make it
Okay.
over as well. You're now in the gardens again, up in the back corner, far away from the main entrance, surrounded by flower beds and bushes and the occasional tree. From where you can see the main path and entry up to the front of the mansion, and there is a lot of garden between you and running along the left-hand side of the mansion and around towards the back.
Can Tarin have a look to see if anything differs from last time to suggest any sort of changes to security.
Yep, those of you that have been there last time, and anyone in general, can also run a perception check to see what's going on around the mansion grounds. Just let me know whether you were there before versus those that have not.
Perception.
And seeing as well, so you can add plus 2 if you got seeing. Rightio. So Edric and Whisp, I know you were there as well. In fact, to be honest, I think most of you were there. Yep.
Sorry, my sound has been cut for the last 5 minutes. Did I need to roll?
It was just perception to see if anything had changed and what the guards had been doing. So, Edric and Wisp, looking around the grounds, first and foremost, you notice that the guard patrols have changed. The mercenaries are being a little bit more rigid in their patrol routes and are being a lot more attentive than the previous set of guards were. There is also guards standing at attention at the front door of the mansion, and it appears that there is also a guard standing on the balcony on the second level looking out over the street. The guards in the grounds are not moving too far away from the mansion itself. They're not doing a full walk out into the grounds and then back again. They are effectively almost following the walls of the building. You're fairly certain that you could skirt along the edges of the garden without getting too close.
Do we have to roll anything, or are we waiting on something, or are we just going for it?
As you... I read that, Edric. As you're taking this all in, you do hear a extremely loud bang, and the guard standing on the balcony tumbles down and lands flat on the pavement in front of the mansion. This is quickly followed by 2 bolts of fire flying through the gate and hitting the guards out the front. Shouts go up, and quite a number of the guards rush towards the front and then out into the street.
Enough guards that we could bolt for the back door without being seen.
Currently, you don't see too many that are between you and the back door, and nearly all of them are looking out towards the front and shouting and trying to gather attention and reinforcements.
In which case, I think Tarin might try and kind of run to the door, but not necessarily just go straight for it, because if one of them turns around, they'll be noticed. But who's going to kind of run to something and hide behind it, and then run to something else and hide behind it, and try and get in that way.
Those of you that are running, I will get you to do a dexterity stealth check. Excuse me.
Could Bhajiri see from here whether any windows are open?
From where you're standing, it looks like none of the windows are open, and also those that are on the floor above seem to have had their curtains drawn.
What? I don't want to be very specific, but what sort of windows are these? Are they particularly jimmyable from the outside in?
You can't tell personally without getting up close to them, but they are quite large windows. They have panes, and the ones on the ground floor are very large bay windows, and the ones on the floors above are sort of half panes that you can lift up.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, I'm also gonna roll stealth to get closer to the thingamabob.
Yep. Rightio. So you all make it across and stack up against the walls near the door to the kitchen. To the best of your knowledge, you've not been spotted so far. Yep. You're now around the back of the mansion, right next to the kitchen door that you previously entered. This time, however, it is closed. You don't see any guards currently where you are. It appears that most that were in the gardens and grounds have rushed out the front. You still do hear from where you currently are the occasional shout from out in the street. And what would you like to do now?
Is anybody capable of picking a lock?
Yup.
Don't ask me. I can break it.
Maybe not break.
Oh, in that case, no.
If Tarin was to try to pick the lock without any knowledge, how would that go, and what would he need to roll?
It would be dexterity without any knowledge.
Okay. Ooh, possibly. And my dex is 4. 15 with 5 stunt points.
Right, yeah. Let me also just open the stunt table because I think there's something in there useful for you.
Yeah, that's about it. Would the object of your attention work? Or maybe the upper hand?
Either or if you feel like it. However...
Ooh. What about resources at hand? Would
that
give
one...
me...
Yep, I can actually play with that one for you. So, you look around immediately for anything that will help you pick this lock. And... basically... start digging into your pockets as well, including the pockets of this brand new coat that you've got.
Ooh.
And pull out a bobby pin.
Ooh.
Using that and looking around, you also manage to use one of your daggers as well. You poke into the lock, fiddle with it, and then eventually you hear a click.
Tarin's gonna look a bit shocked, turn around at the others with a big grin and go, "Yay!"
Well done.
And then he's gonna open the door.
The door opens into a very dark kitchen.
First.
What was that? Sorry.
First. I'm gonna gesture he goes in.
Tarin's gonna gulp and tentatively poke a toe through the door and kind of slide in, trying to keep as much of himself covered as possible.
You slide in, pushing yourself up against the wall as you make your way in. And don't hear a sound being made in the kitchen. It's still quite dark. It seems like they've let the lights go down for the night. And there doesn't appear to be anyone around.
Tarin's gonna poke his head back round the door and be like, I think it's okay. And like gesture for them to come in as well. And like step a bit further into the room. Very tentatively.
As the rest of you make your way in, you find yourself back in a very familiar kitchen. Alara looks across at the door directly opposite the kitchen entrance and shudders slightly. And for those of you that remember, it is the door down to the dungeon that was underneath. There is another door that you didn't enter on the same wall, but on the opposite end of it.
Tarin's going to point at it and say, do we think it's through there?
Well, I don't think it's back where we found Alara.
Well, let's just go through down, right?
With that, I'm gonna actually look at Alara, see how she's doing, being this close to where, well, all that shit happened.
She gives you a small smile and then just nods and gestures towards the other door.
Okay. With that, I'm gonna like walk over to her, give it a little hug, and then go to that door.
Can Tarin ask Whisp if she, or is Whisp a woman or a man? I'm really sorry, I don't actually know.
Man.
Woman. If
Yep.
she can put together another trap.
Fishing wire, because I do have fishing wire and just like sun like knives or that around the kitchen. Blah blah again.
Yep. And you remember how you did it last time, so you take a little bit of time, but you do manage to assemble the same trap you did last time.
Remember to jump over the wire so you don't trigger it if we're running out. Heck.
What was that?
Remember to jump over the wire if we're running out in a panic. Like last time you nearly walked through it, remember?
That wasn't me walking through it. It was the torturer who deserved to die.
Alara is just looking slightly wide-eyed between the two of you talking at the moment, and then just lifts a single finger to lips to shush you both. And then looking at the rest of you, tiptoes over towards the door and puts an ear to it. Looks at the rest of you and then gently begins to open it.
Okay.
So that door opens up into a hallway, through which you can see, since it's not a very large one, another two doors.
Do either of them have any light coming from underneath?
One of them does, which is the one that is on the right. The one on the left appears to be darker.
Tarin's going to turn to the others and be like, which one do we pick?
Both.
The darker one. Oh, let's pick both.
We just
How do we
open,
do that?
we open both and we see what we like best afterwards.
Listen first.
What was that, sorry?
We could listen first.
That's a good idea.
I agree.
So for those of you that want to listen against the doors, I'll get you to do a perception. Let me know which one you want to listen against.
I'd like to listen against the one that's actually lit.
Yep.
Do the opposite one then.
Good news, I get 1 stunt point.
Are we rolling a perception? Sorry.
Yeah, perception, listening, if you got it.
just to say, DM, I've sent you a DM.
Yep, I saw it.
Wait, you sent him another DM? But he's the DM.
But there are now 2 DMs.
I've just sent Rosie in a box to him.
It's now DM squared.
Oh boy, Edric, that could have gone quite badly for you.
I could have listened through.
So, Edric, you go to put your head against the door and bang your head, and perfectly bang your ear against it. So all you can hear is ringing. So, Wisp and Tarin, you put your heads against the door that has less light coming underneath.
Mm-hmm.
You hear nothing for a bit, but then you hear a slight cough and then the sounds of a couple of footprints. And then silence again.
Guys, someone is ringing a bell behind this door. That must be the ambassador.
I'm behind this door too.
Oh wait, the ringing is not coming from the door here. I have no clue what's happening.
Lady Alara, you wouldn't happen to know where these doors lead, would you?
Alara's going to... Oh, hang on, I just took that wrong. Alara will look across at you, Tarin, and then point at the door that Edric banged his head against and go, that one's the main hall.
Sound may have skipped for a second. I jumped us to a different server because sound issues keep persisting.
Yep. Alara points at the one that Edric banged his head against with the light coming out from underneath it and says, that one's the main hall.
What about this one?
She shrugs slightly and goes, they didn't take me through there.
You can take a look if you want, he says slightly too loud.
There was somebody behind the door.
We can kill him.
Tarin looks at Edric and looks like he's weighing up the options. Yes. You go
Edric is
first, then.
We better. I can kill them. It's fine.
Edric is
I'm
gonna
sure
stand
they're
ready
easy
with
to
the
kill.
maul above his head, like next to the door, and he's going, "You open it, I slam."
Okay, try to be quiet.
How
Do you need me to help kill them?
If you can do it quietly, then yes.
Okay. So Mug takes out his what's its name? Well, I will just say weapon.
Yep.
Tarin's gonna count to 3 and then try to open the door.
So the door opens without much effort and without any noise. In the dark, you can see what looks like the shape of a guard patrolling, looking out the windows, and he's keeping his focus out the front.
Yeah, Mug is just going to hit them. Or are they close enough? Or?
They're on the other side of the room.
Okay.
He
Well,
has
I mean, Mug promised to try to kill them, so.
he has a rifle drawn and held in front of him, but he is very focused out on the street ahead.
Someone said, "You sneak up on him." Mug will try to sneak up on him and get him.
Rightio, I'll get you to roll a dexterity.
Okay.
And I'll just check.
No one answered, Mug.
Right.
It's like no one is trying to help him. So dexterity is +2 for me, isn't it? Oh, that's a pretty good one. Do you get stunt points on rolls like this?
You can do, actually. What I will say is you can use... Well,
because I
you'd
got
be using
5 stunt points.
Yeah, you'll use exploration ones.
Okay.
Although not all of them are really useful for when you're doing stealth. But what I can say is that you will get advantageous positioning as an option. Because most of the other ones are searching ones. And you've also got option of the upper hand, which means that if it breaks out into an actual fight, you get +3 initiative.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm taking these.
Rightio. So with that, you creep as slowly and quietly into the room as you can. For everyone watching, every footstep sounds like a thunderclap. But the guard is still looking out the front the entire time as Mug gets right up behind. So Mug, I'm going to get you to roll an attack. The guard literally only hears you just as you get directly behind them.
Oh, that's really nice. So his perception was really, really bad.
Yep. You hear like this somewhat quiet, huh? And he turns around.
So my attack is +3, isn't it?
I believe so. PC characters, Mug.
Oh.
So it is, yeah, your attack +3.
Okay, so
You will
I think
also
that's
get,
15.
yep, that will hit. That will,
Do I get any extra?
yeah, that definitely hits.
Okay. What's my damage?
Your damage is, you're using your, excuse me, two-handed maul, that's 2d6 +3 +4.
Oh. So +7, actually.
Yep.
Oh.
You also get, oh, hang on, no, you didn't get any stunt points for that. All good.
So from the advantageous position and all that
Well,
sneak attack, do I get any extra?
I will actually turn around and say you get to roll an additional 2 because he was not wearing... Additional 2 d6.
Okay,
Oh,
two
holy shit.
more. Okay.
Yeah.
This is going to do badly for them.
That's essentially a crit.
Yeah. Oh shit. How much is this? Oh my god, this is a lot. So it's 10, 20, 23.
Alrighty, yeah.
Okay, so 23 points of damage, I think.
Noted. With that, the rest of you roll initiative.
How does initiative work again?
Oh, yes, that's a good point. I've just added my dice, but I think I add something else, don't I?
You do, off the top of my head, and
I
it
believe
is your
it's
dex.
dexterity, right?
Yep.
Oh, fantastic.
Now,
My highest one.
Glenn,
so 3d6
Did I
plus your
kill
dex.
them?
Glenn,
Oh.
I'm I'm gonna shoot you a message real quick, Glenn.
Yep. Mug, I'll explain what happened just in a sec.
Not Dex initiative.
Rightio. So as people are rolling up their initiative, Mug, you have crept up right behind this guy, and he spins at the very last second, having not realized that you've approached, and you slam your battle axe clean into him.
Oh, into his chest.
Into his
like,
chest. Up close, you can see that he is wearing very decent armor. It actually takes a fair chunk of the blow, but you've forced your weapon right through that. Sorry, it's your maul that you're using, so it's cracked ribs. He has taken a major hit and is hurting. You've seen injuries like this, and you know that he is not in great shape, but he's not out of the fight yet.
Yet. Okay, but it probably won't take too much.
Rightio, so we have initiative-wise.
And I was hoping to finish him in one, but the next blow.
Rightio, so I've got... Just checking the numbers. So that looks like Tarin's, Edric's, Wisps, and Nottaduck's. Mug, I'll get you to quickly roll initiative as well. Hang on, have we lost...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Merrisea had to jump out because her laptop was being lame and freaking out.
Oh,
And also her Discord was being a bitch.
that's a pain.
Audio. Glenn, just before my turn actually happens.
Yep.
The message that I sent is quite important for my turn.
Yep. I will look that up.
Oh, my initiative is bad.
Merrisea flaps around at the back of the group the whole time, trying to offer helpful suggestions, but is not keen on killing anyone, really.
Noted. Rightio. So, that brings us to... Edric, I think you're actually up first.
Yep. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to lift the weapon that I borrowed from Bhajiri.
Yep.
It's literally not going to move. Like, I can drag it, but that's about it. Then I'm going to let go, move my arm from my sleeve, so that the elbow pad, the steel elbow pad, is on my fist. Yep, basically like that. And I'm going to punch him with the steel elbow pad from my jacket.
Noted. I'll get you to roll an attack.
Is that weapon group brawling?
Yeah, that will count as brawling.
Awesome. That's 6 plus 5 is 11. And then that's fighting is -1.
It will
That's
count
fighting
as...
to try and hit, right?
It will be... Let me pull up the weapon groups. Sorry, I've got a character sheet there at the minute. Weapons, that. So, brawling... Off the top of my head... is accuracy.
Oh, it's accuracy to try and hit.
Yep.
Wait, I'm actually good at that. So it's not a -1 for fighting, it's a +4 from accuracy.
Yep. And you're using an improvised weapon, so that will be 1d6 -1.
10 total to try and hit.
Alright, let me just double check against the table I got. You hit.
1d6 -1?
Yep.
How does a 0 work?
You do have 2 stunt points.
True. Let me quickly see what I can do with those. I'd like to knock him prone.
Go for it.
So instead of doing damage, I'm actually tackling him.
So you go for the swing with your fist, and it just glances off his armor, doing next to nothing. Realizing that you are about to overbalance and may as well do something with it, you just shoulder barge him instead.
Nice.
And he bounces into the wall and then comes back forward. He's still standing, however.
Aww.
That brings us up to Whisp, I believe. Or hang on. Tarin, Whisp. Who's fastest? I think it's actually... You both 4 dexterity?
Yeah, I'm 4.
So,
I feel like we've had this situation before and we've had to roll the die.
Yep. What I'll say is... Tarin, can you say odds or evens?
Evens.
Alright, Wisp goes first.
trying to do kill him or knock him out?
Your choice, really.
From what you can see, a stiff slap across the face looks like it would do him in right now.
Go for that.
Righty up. Roll a brawling. So accuracy. If that was what I thought it sounded like, it was a hit. Yep, that's a hit.
I typed it.
That's right. There you go. Sorry, it just hadn't scrolled down for me. That is definitely a hit. I still had like Edric's roll there. So that is definitely a hit. Roll your damage.
It's 1d6, yeah?
Yep.
Or
Oh, and Edric, I forgot to mention it was plus strength. So it's 1d6 minus 1 plus strength.
That would be +2 damage.
That's all right.
five.
Noted. You do a massive swing and punch him hard and actually get him good across the face. The only downside is that your knuckles actually hit his helmet.
Ouch.
Oh.
You're certain that his ears are ringing, but you're not sure if you did much else than that. And that brings up Tarin.
Stab.
I'm not sure Tarin really wants to kill him. He's technically just doing his job, what he's been paid to do. So I think Tarin's going to try and trip him up. So is it possible for Tarin to kind of get slightly to the side and slightly behind him so she can like kick out his knees?
Yep. So, with all the intention and the fact that he's being attacked by multiple people from the front, you manage to get around the sides. We'll get you to do a strength check to try and kick his legs out from underneath him.
4 plus 3 plus 1 plus my strength, which is... What is... naught. So I got 8 there.
He sees you make the attempt and tries to move his leg out of the way, and unfortunately moves it directly into the path of your kick and you get him a solid kick across the kneecap, which drops that leg out from underneath him, and he falls like a sack of spuds.
Yes. Tarin's gonna like kind of look up in shock that it worked. Go. Yeah, I think I'll just leave it there for that turn. I can't think of a witty comeback at the moment. So.
All good. So that brings us, I think, to very quickly Bhajiri.
Okay, so what Bhajiri is going to do? He's of a similar opinion as Tarin. What he's going to do is he is going to basically run up and try and basically grab him round the throat and just choke him out onto the ground.
Noted. I'll get you to do a strength on that.
Okay. So just roll strength for that?
Yep.
Ooh, okay, so that is a 12 plus a 4. Yeah, that's 12 plus 4. So that's 16. Can I argue it as being a might? So
Yes,
that
this
I
is
make another
definitely
+2?
might.
In that case, it would be 18 overall.
Righty. Alrighty then. He's resisting hard as you strain and pull and choke as hard as you can. And for a few moments, you're almost certain he's going to throw you off. Until eventually he starts to just slump. And then all the strength goes out of him and he drops.
Bhajiri's going to have been whispering in his ear, just like, shh, go to sleep.
Rockabye, baby.
Takes a few moments to get your breath back under control, look at each other, and then silence sets in.
Can I drag the hammer back to Bhajiri? With a sad look on my face.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. And Bhajiri will pat Edric's noodle arms. And give him like a cheeky wink and just like a.
Edric is actually gonna pull out the new pistol, the one that he just stole, or took from the armory. And he's gonna turn it around so that he's holding it basically by the shooty end instead of the holding end. Sorry for the bad English, my words are not working.
All good.
Your words are working far better than mine. And Bhajiri's just gonna push the pistol back onto him and just be like, you're better with them. Keep it for yourself. Don't worry about it.
No, but it's more silent when I punch people with it than when I shoot people with it, I guess.
Bhajiri's gonna quickly take the pistol off of him, check that it's empty, and then hand it back.
But if it's empty, I can't shoot it when it's needed to shoot.
Surely you have more than one gun on you, though.
Oh yeah, of course. I have this one, and he pulls out like 2 more pistols, and the rifle is on his back.
So, to arm your favourite ones, and then your least favourite used to hit things with.
Fair. So Sugar and Daddy stay loaded.
point, Tarin's going to look back at the poor downed mercenary and suggest, do we need to tie him up?
Yes, with his intestines.
No.
Oh.
Something. I don't know. Is there anything in here we can tie him up with?
Why
Use
not
his
the
clothes.
intestines? The intestines would work.
I'd rather not.
Strip him and tie him up with his own clothes.
Would
He's wearing a
you
lot
like
of
to
armor.
do that,
It will
Cap-
take a while.
That's true.
Alara, in the meantime, is just keeping a watch at the door on the opposite end of the room. So it takes a little bit of time, but you remove his armor, strip him out of his clothes, and tie him to a chair in the room. And yes, you do remove his underwear and gag him with that.
Fantastic. Is there anything that Tarin could steal from his clothing, or I don't know, person or whatever he's got on him, that she could use in the future, as in like that might be useful for a rogue, basically?
A quick search of his person finds a dagger and a short sword,
Ooh.
as well as his rifle, which he dropped after he got tackled. You also find a pouch on his belt that has 2 silver pieces currently in it, and a set of playing cards.
Can Tarin take it all and then, like, very tentatively hold up the rifle and be like, anybody want this?
Yeah, of course.
Out of character, is it really mean for me to take it all? Does anybody want anything?
Well, Edric is very tempted to just take another rifle because more rifle is more better.
You can have the rifle, that's absolutely fine. Tarin doesn't want it, that's for sure.
In that case, yes, Edric is going for the rifle.
I don't think Mug knows how to use a rifle, to be honest.
Cool. Anybody want the silver or the cards? Again, out of character.
We could use the silver and add it to the stash that we will share at the end of this.
Oh, that's a good idea. Maybe we suggest that it all goes into a pot then to take at the end, and we just take as much as we can, and somebody has to lug it around.
Yeah, sounds good. For now, I'll carry the firearms then.
I can carry the swords and dagger. If somebody else wants to carry the smaller stuff.
I have a suggestion.
Mhm.
Maybe Noodle Arms over there could use a dagger, at least.
Oh, that's a
Did
good
you
idea.
call him Noodle Arms out loud?
Bhajiri did, as he was sticking his tongue out to Edric as he did so.
Edric is gonna try and grab the tongue.
Tarin's gonna look at the dagger and just hold it out with both hands to Edric. Be like, "Here you go," with big wide eyes.
Thank you. This one will get bloody though.
I find
As-
flailing works best.
What?
just flailing your arms and hoping it hits. You don't
I can do
necessarily
that.
need to look.
That's good. Can I like blindfold myself or something?
Maybe not the wisest, but I suppose it could work.
To be fair, when have I been known to be wise? Also, that gif is majestic.
I really feel that that's how Tarin fights.
It could be
Flailing
worse.
McFlaily.
I couldn't help myself. I apologize.
What the fuck? I looked up dagger for the gif.
Mhm.
What the fuck?
Oh,
Oh, oh.
Oh, literally, why would you let somebody do that to you?
Yeah,
Just why?
I'm a delete it because that's not a
Yep.
fun sight.
You can learn the knife game song.
what did you look up?
I looked up the word dagger as a GIF, and I found someone tossing daggers towards someone else's hand.
and the other person letting him.
It was a challenge, right?
Oh yeah, it was a
Yeah.
challenge, but here I'll share it so you can see it.
Okay.
Have you seen people do the knife game song challenge?
Oh yeah, I've seen it go wrong in person. I've had
In
it go
person?
wrong. I've had it go wrong in person.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Dagger, dagger, dagger. Yeah, you have to be pretty good for this one.
Yep.
It's like the bottle flip thing, but sharper.
Yeah.
More painful.
And there's a song to this one.
With your prisoner now bound, gagged, and robbed, you make your way across the room and find yourself near a pair of big dividing doors. These look like they open up into a larger room in such a way that they, rather than just being an entryway, can open up and expand the room.
Wait, did the prisoner not shout for help at all? So no one came.
He did not get a chance.
Oh, good, good.
He
Yeah.
was smashed in the chest with a warhammer and then slapped twice around the face and then strangled. I don't think he had a good option.
Aw,
We have become
poor
quite the team,
guy.
haven't we?
I like the monk did the sneaky. Pretty efficient. Okay.
So Lara's still following on, or is she still looking at the other door?
Alara is actually waiting near that front door. She's crossed the room and is waiting for you.
Can we hear anything through the door?
Currently, no.
I suggest we open it.
Light?
There is no light from this room at all.
Yeah. Do we do the same thing as before? I go in and kill them?
Let's establish this. Are we knocking them out or killing them? Because knocking them out seems to be a very long process.
And Edric, yes, you can kick him on the way past.
Nice.
He doesn't make much of a noise. He just slumps a bit further.
Well,
Good.
I'd prefer to knock them out. Seems a little less
What
mean.
happens if we come against a
You don't
load
like
of them,
dirty
though?
work? Well, we have to do dirty work.
Well, if we come against a lot and our only option is to kill them, then I suggest that. But where we can, if we knock them out, it will be a lot better, I find.
But
The goal?
fine. But we kill the ambassador, right?
Yes, but we have to kill the ambassador. But if we kill the ambassador, then nobody's paying the mercenaries paychecks, and then they're not trying to kill us.
So on the way out, we get to like flail around with the decapitated head, so that people know that they won't get paid. Is that it?
Yeah, sure,
And this sounds reasonable to me.
sure. You can do the flailing with the decapitated head.
As long as it doesn't bleed.
Well, you have to
Uh-huh.
bleed it out first. I mean, that's the point about decapitating. Maybe you need me to show you how to do it properly, right?
Well, all I really need is his head in a package shipped off to a far-off country.
Okay, but look, you have to wait until it bleeds out properly before you can transport it. Like, I know this stuff.
Okay.
Alara is just slowly sort of tennis ball watching all of you.
Sorry, Alara, I have to send Dad a signal with this head.
She just nods. And then points at the next room and raises an eyebrow. Shall we go?
At what?
I ready my pistol club and I walk closer.
She waits until you're all somewhat ready and then pulls the door open. As the door pulls open and reveals the room behind it, you realise that the room is the one that you all waited in for the ambassador, and is the front waiting room. Currently, there doesn't appear to be anyone in there.
Is the wine cask still there?
There is a long table up against the wall that still has what looks like a glass vase still full of wine, and a couple of cups sitting next to it. The other door, which you know leads back out into the main hall, is open, and light is streaming through. There is signs that this room had people gathered playing a game of cards or something closer to that door. There's a couple of chairs pulled up, and everything seems to be in a bit of a state, as if everyone has rushed out the front.
Oh, nice. The distraction is working.
So, just to clarify, this room is it close to the front doors in terms of?
So, you are, if you had walked in the front door and into the main reception, you are in a room directly to the right of it. It is where you were taken off and were waiting to meet the ambassador before he came down and met you.
Okay. Bhajiri would like to do a quick little search to see if there's any keys of any description anywhere.
A quick search of the room reveals that there is largely just couches and chairs and sitting tables. Nothing really of any importance, and not even a desk in sight. It seems like this is largely just a waiting area for people who need to see the ambassador and have to bide their time while he is busy.
Okay. But Bhajiri's gonna look at his crew and suggest. So, just an idea. When we've made sure that the front door is, we can get to the front door easily without being spotted. I suggest that we bar the front door with some of this furniture. So if they do come back, they will struggle to get in if we take too long with the job.
No, good idea.
Yeah, sure, agreed.
Alara just nods.
Yeah, sure.
You don't hear any noise currently from out in the reception, but there is light streaming in through that open doorway.
Bhajiri's gonna have a little look-see, have a little snooper-doodle, gonna have a little check my dog. I don't fucking know what I'm saying.
How tired are you?
I'm really not. I slept very well yesterday.
You, as subtly as you can, stick your head out into the hallway, or I should say into the reception room, and do a quick scan around. It's as you remember it. The main double doors entrance to the front porch is there. One of the doors is ever so slightly ajar, but you can't see through it from where you are. The stairwell up to the next level is directly behind you. and there is a set of double doors across from you that are currently closed.
Bhajiri is going to relay that information as eloquently as possible to his comrades.
Words.
Have you been watching Chernobyl as well? Is that why we are comrades?
No. Although, it's a show that is on my watch list, which is now far
It
longer
is a
than
good
it should be.
show.
Can Tarin suggest that we split up so a few people go to each door and then somebody goes to the front door to shut it whilst others help grab furniture to barricade it?
That gets two
Okay.
thumbs up from Bhajiri.
Good idea.
Alara smiles and nods, and then moves to go and stand as close to the stairs as possible without revealing herself to anyone who would be upstairs.
Tarin runs to the front door, peeks outside, hopefully keeping himself covered, and shuts the door as quietly as he possibly can.
I'll get you to roll a perception check,
Yeah.
but you manage to shut the door, and with a click, you lock it.
That's seeing.
Perception seeing, yep.
Yeah.
And I presume the rest of you are rushing furniture out?
Yep.
Yep.
Or at least as far as I can.
Yep. You move a couple of the couches and chairs and get them stacked up against the door. It's a bit slow work, but you manage to barricade it. You're fairly certain it would take a reasonable amount of time and a hell of a lot of noise to break their way through.
Sweet.
Right. Tarin, your quick glimpse out the doorway showed that most of the guards have moved to the front of the gates and appear to be in a standoff with Spades and Blackjack, who appear to be sniping at them from the shadows and relocating every couple of minutes. Once in a while, one of them will raise a rifle and attempt to take a shot before dropping and swearing and ducking into cover. They don't appear to be many injuries on their part, but at the same time, they're not exactly getting much success. There is
sorry, carry on.
I was about to say, there is a single body just beyond the gates, and it appears that someone had made an attempt to rush forward and has a crossbow bolt through the neck.
Ooh.
Is that a guard?
It is a guard.
Or is that one of us?
From what you can tell, it's an armored guard.
Cool.
Okay.
Tarin's gonna relay that to everybody. Also going to suggest Edric talk to them about their shooting because I feel like they'd get on. And also suggest that we hurry this up because they look like, although they're coping, they could do with this being quicker sooner rather than slower.
To be fair, how bad they are shooting, this is my turn to facepalm, I guess.
From what you've heard, no one has actually taken a shot. It is... What seems to be happening is that as soon as someone is sticking their head out of cover, they're getting shot at. So they are constantly just forced to dive back in the cover without actually being able to aim at anything.
Okay. In that case, I'm not facepalming yet.
With
I guess we go and look then.
Alara's going to give you a smile and a thumbs up from the stairwell.
I'm a chase after.
As you make your way up the stairs, you exit out into a hallway that is equally silent, and I'll get you to do perception checks.
Seeing or hearing?
I'll say hearing.
Perception hearing, was it?
Yep.
I don't have hearing. I don't have seeing, so I don't know why I asked.
Oh, dear Lord.
Holy.
Wow.
Okay, Wisp literally rolled twice as high as me.
Noted. So, Tarin and Bhajiri, you hear noises from one of the chambers that is up towards the back of the building. The rest of the place seems rather quiet, as if this entire floor...
Is everyone rolling? Sorry.
it was just perception hearing. That's right. The rest of the building seems to be eerily quiet, as if there's not anyone else up on this floor. Wisp, you hear some noises that indicate someone is having an awful fun time
Huh.
up the back of the building. Or at least one person is. You can't hear much from anyone else.
Fun times.
Oh, ew. Like, if it was at least two, we'd know it was, like, consensual.
Alara's going to look at the rest of you and, with a slightly confused look on her face, gesture towards the back of the building.
Oh, sorry, I did roll on perception, but...
That's all right.
No, I think I entered it, right? Yeah, I did enter it.
Yep.
13. Okay. Sorry, I'm very tired then.
No, that's all right.
Not sure how much.
We'll probably wind up in about 20 odd minutes. Unless we want to leave busting into that last room for next session. How are people going?
I could really do with killing the ambassador. However, I'm also fine with not killing the ambassador right now and doing that next session.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we will get to kill the ambassador because that may not be the next room. Or is it the next room, Glenn?
Based on your understanding of the shape of the house, there's not that many rooms up that side. You'd presume there'd only be one larger room, or maybe two smaller ones. So
I'm happy to continue on if other people are.
Yeah, I'm happy as well. I'm fine either way.
well, as I
I'm
said, we can
fine-
go for about 20 minutes if you want.
Yeah, I'm fine with continuing on if it is before, if we stop at around 20 minutes from now.
Yep,
Yeah.
we can do that. So you creep along, and as you get closer, the rest of you hear what Wisp heard. Wisp, you also, with that hearing check, also hear the occasional bit of swearing from out the front, and the fact that they can't see the blasted bastards. The room that you approach has a very ornate door, and although it seems like it's got a lock, it doesn't appear to actually be locked.
That's lucky. Did you roll for that, Glenn?
Let's just say that by the sounds of it, the person who's inside potentially isn't really caring about locking doors or is aware of anything going on right now.
So it seems like they're distracted.
Yeah.
Looking for us.
Yeah, it might
It's
be
like
worth
it was planned.
being as quiet as you can and sneaking in and trying to surround. Trying to surround the bed. Because I can't imagine there'd be any guards inside. Well, if they're distracted, it's a lot easier to assassinate, surely.
Wow, okay.
So I take it you're just all going to burst into the room?
Well, quietly sneak and then
I guess we are
surround
sneaking,
and yeah. If we get as close as we possibly can before he notices we're there, the element of surprise will be on our side. Just like that.
You slowly open the door, making as little noise as you can, and then as quietly as possible rush in. You find
So sneaky.
the ambassador, sans clothes, and a woman who is at least chained by the hands to the bed.
Can I poke the
Does it-
ambassador with my spear in his bum?
You hear an
Okay.
extremely loud squeal of shock.
But wait, I'm sneaking. Have they detected us already?
Yes, because Bhajiri just poked him.
Maybe we should have killed him before we do that.
No, I need to tell him something.
No, let's just kill him.
Can I just determine, was the woman consensually chained or non-consensually chained?
At this stage, you couldn't even tell.
I'd recommend asking the woman once he's dead. Like, leave her chained while we kill him next to her. / on top of her.
Well, that's a bit mean, because if she was non-consensually chained,
You're
that would be
killing
worse.
him.
Just a
I'm
question,
imagining
is all of
conversation
this
to be happening in character?
is all this happening in character?
My suggestions
sorry.
definitely are.
The ambassador is scooching himself as far away from you as possible before he tumbles backwards off the bed.
I'm stepping
Yeah.
closer, putting my pistol against his forehead, and then I remove the scarf and say, "The bastard sends his regards."
Wait! Bhajiri says.
I shoot.
Bhajiri holds up a canister of oil that he's been carrying since the kitchen. I thought you could make use of this.
Ooh.
I'm very confused.
Edric?
as a character.
Oil for.
Okay, let's just kill
Roll
him. Let's not make this complicated.
Edric, roll a 2-hit with your pistol.
Wait, a 2-hit?
Yeah. Because you got distracted mid-shot.
Okay, so that's 4 plus 4 plus 3 plus 4 is high number. 15 with 4 stun points.
So even though you turn to look at Bhajiri and see the oil, you perfectly execute the ambassador.
Oh, okay, so he's dead.
Anyone have heard the gunshot?
Probably.
It,
How about we get out of here?
I need his head.
Okay. Can someone give me a sword or something? I'll cut
Here you
his
go.
head off.
Alara has quickly rushed over to a desk in the room and just been rummaging around it quickly. But you hear her say, "Would someone please free that poor girl?"
Oh, so literally, I was just gonna say, can
Mug
Tarin have
is
been
busy.
checking on her? Tarin
Yeah.
wouldn't have been participating in the assassination. She would have been checking on the woman.
She seems to have been gagged as well, and she is pulling against the chains and looking towards a nearby bedside table, sort of with her eyes, trying to gesture towards you.
Tarin's gonna search the bedside table to try and find the keys.
Yep.
This is a little too close to home for her.
It doesn't take you too long, and you do find them and are able to unchain her.
Mhm.
She pulls off the gag and says, thank you so much."
I'm so sorry we were here so late. Is there anything? Did he? Are you okay?
"I'll be fine knowing that he's gone. That blasted monster."
How did you get here? What happened?
Mug is just casually decapitating the guy in the meantime.
She looks to everyone in the room, suddenly realizes that she's not exactly wearing an awful lot, and pulls some of the sheets up to cover what little modesty she has left.
Can I?
Tarin's gonna search the room for her clothes in the hopes that she might be able to find some of it left in there.
You don't find any clothes for a woman in there, but you do find some of the ambassador's changes of clothes.
Tarin's gonna try and help her get dressed and secure as much as she can so that she's as covered as possible.
You manage to pull something together, and she quickly dresses herself and then looks to the rest of you and goes, "We should get out of here before any of the guards find what's happened here."
Do I have to roll for decapitation, or have I?
Nope, it won't take much effort since he's not exactly moving all that much.
He won't dive out of the way, at least.
She,
No, I'm used to doing this.
the girl also turns to you, Tarin, and says, "He bought me as a slave. It's illegal here, but that doesn't exactly stop people with money like him. I just want to get out of here and get home."
Where is
Let's get you
home?
home.
How can we get you there?
First of all, let's get out of here before
good
we
point.
ask these
Sure.
questions.
Sure.
She's just in a blind panic at this stage and just turns and then bolts, not even waiting for the rest of you.
Oh no, the trap!
Tarin's gonna try and catch her
no.
and like leg it after her and be like, no, wait for us, wait!
Alara makes a noise as if she's found something important, and you see her stashing papers into her blouse, and then she turns to look at the rest of you and goes, "We need to get out of here too."
Question: is there a fireplace?
In this room, no, but in the waiting room downstairs, there was.
Okay, good enough. Bhajiri's gonna like pour oil on the body and start like pouring a line of oil.
Did I get the head off?
Yep. You are now the proud owner of a very pudgy and terrified looking face.
Okay, so Mug is starting to go outside and bringing the head with him. He's like, "I don't give a shit. We are done here. Let's go. Let's not delay."
Let's get out of here. I'm gonna run towards the stairs and just ready my pistols to prepare for any guard standing there giving us trouble.
Has Tarin managed to catch the...
I'll get you to do a
they're
dex.
running? Okay. 6 plus 5 is 11, plus 4 is 15.
Yep, you find her just as she gets down to the front door and she's realized that it's all barricaded and she can't get out and she's now looking frantically in every direction for a way to escape.
Calm, calm, calm. We have a way out, but you need to stick with us. Stay with us. We can get you out. Okay? You just stay calm and listen. The others will be down in any moment, and then we can get out, okay?
If they catch me here, they will sell me again. I'm not going to be a slave again.
They won't
It's
get
okay,
you.
we can kill you.
They won't. You can go
Oi.
back.
The second Mug says that, her eyes go very, very wide
We're
as she
not
starts
killing
backing
her.
away.
We're not
So
killing
how
her.
about we get out of here instead of arguing about shit?
We're not killing her. We're killing anyone who tries to sell her.
Yes. Seriously, they're not that scary. I promise. They're all good, kind of.
Well,
We're just
yeah.
we're going to go back to
You know,
our ship, and then we can sort it out.
I was just going to point out that if she's dead, no one's going to sell her anymore. Well, not that she will care, you know.
Mug.
That was just my point.
Could you stop talking? You go.
Look, I get that I'm clever, but you don't need to stop me from telling her the truth.
Sure.
Alara's going to look at you, Tarin, and then Mug, shake her head at Mug, and then lean in close and start whispering to the girl, who seems to slowly calm down a bit.
Tarin's gonna pass her dagger to the girl and say, hopefully it makes you feel safer, but seriously, we're here to help. Follow us and be careful, there's a trap at the back door, so watch what we're doing before you move.
Alara's going to smile and say, I'll lead her through, it'll be fine. But we really do need to leave.
At this point, Bhajiri's just like quietly. Oh, I just knocked my phone. Sorry.
Is that what you said?
No, I just managed to slap my phone out of my own hand. So Bhajiri's just like quietly whistling to himself as he like finishes this line of oil like right near to the fireplace. And then he's just like, go on. And he says, Mug, take that guy we tied it, like the person we tied in the chair, take them and just put them in the middle of the garden.
Put them in the garden. Why?
Put them in, just please. It'll be funny.
Okay, whatever.
Mug, I'll get you to do a strength might check, and as Bhajiri is suggesting this, a massive thud is heard from the front door, and then a shout.
Bhajiri starts the fire.
Tarin's gonna grab the girl's hand and gesture to Lady Alara, and they're gonna run back through towards the back door.
Alara's following.
If I have might, does that add +2?
+2, yep.
And strength is +4.
Yep, so it's the total +6 to whatever you rolled.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's pretty good.
You pick the tied up.
Do I need stunt points in this? Or?
Quite frankly, no. With that, you've literally just grabbed him, sort of stopped for a second and try and work out how best to do it, and then just turned him upside down and thrown him over your shoulder, chair and all. And then just started walking out as if he doesn't weigh all that much.
Nice.
The feet of the chair, due to your height, also just clear the doorways.
Nice.
So I take it the rest of you are also bolting out?
Yep.
Yeah.
You make it through the house and out the back.
Nobody trips the wire?
Since you are all aware it's there, you are perfectly okay to step over it as you make your way through. And you point it out to the poor hapless girl as you make your way. And you break out into the gardens. As you do, you hear even more shouts from up the front. And it seems like there is now a concerted effort being made to break the front door down. For the moment, though, this end of the garden seems to still be quiet.
Nice.
Do we smell smoke?
For the moment, no, you don't smell any smoke, but the wind is coming in from off the water, which is, to all intents and purposes, directly in front of you. The fire, if it does catch, would be up the front end of the house, so you would only get the best view of it taking a light from the other side of the building.
Noted.
Tarin's gonna head for the back wall that we came in over and try and help the girl get over the wall. But I would assume not very successfully. Not got much strength to me.
You make it to the wall with Lara in tow, and Alara runs and plants a foot on the wall and jumps and pulls herself up and then leans over and begins to help you get the girl up over the wall.
Sweet.
And then she holds a hand down to you.
Cool. Take a hand and scramble up the wall. And then I'll let Lady Alara jump down and I'll help the others up when they get to the wall.
Alara will jump down and wait patiently for the rest of you to make your way over. The girl, however, being the first one over, doesn't even wait and she just bolts off into the streets.
Tarin's gonna sigh because he's really worried that she'll just get caught again. But there's not much you can do if she's bolted.
The rest of you will get helped one by one over. And the last person to get over the wall, do we have a volunteer for who's bringing up the rear? Although I'm going to presume it's possibly going to be Mug, who was setting up a very decorative captured prisoner in the middle of the fountain at the back.
Sorry, what was that?
So, Mug, you've done as Bhajiri asked and walked out with the prisoner.
Yeah.
And not really seeing what else to do with him, you've just walked out into the middle of one of the decorative ponds with a fountain and just plonked the chair, prisoner and all, into the fountain.
Yeah. Well,
And
that
then
makes sense.
Sticking his head under the water to wake him up, accidentally waterboarding him as you do, and you
Accidentally.
and then walk on your way.
Okay, fair enough.
Being the last person to the wall, I will get you to do a strength might check to climb on over.
Yeah, I think this is going to be fine. Do you want me to actually calculate it?
No, that's alright. If it's a reasonably high number.
I will just check, just for your amusement, because I get 4 from strength and 2 from might as well.
Yep.
Okay, so that's 21.
Tarin, you're still sitting up on the wall, half expecting to lean down to give Mug a helping hand.
Mm-hmm.
And
A helping hand.
Mug walks up to the wall and just starts jamming fingers into the gaps between the bricks and the mortar and just ripping parts of the mortar out. and then climbs up the brand new handholds that he's created.
Tarin's just gonna kind of sit there and watch him with mouth wide open, and just like watch the whole time, like this.
You have never seen such a stocky creature climb so nimbly.
I don't think Tarin can even say anything. Tarin's so gobsmacked. Was really not expecting Mug to be that agile.
As
It's
Mug
not just
drop,
about agility.
Mug, as you drop down over the wall, the rest of you scatter off into the streets to get at least a little bit away from all the shenanigans at the house. Bhajiri, as you leave, you do notice that there is now smoke and a nice healthy glow growing from the front of the building.
Bhajiri is pleased.
Are we going round to help Blackjack and the Spades?
As you gather in the shadows of a building not too far away, Blackjack and Spades step clean out of the shadows on the side of the building right next to you all. Blackjack is chuckling slightly and Spades has a wide grin on his face. Blackjack looks at you all and goes, I take it you did the job.
Can
No.
I
Mug
collect
just
the head
holds up
from
the
her?
head.
He looks at the head, nods and goes, well, that's proof enough. He looks back at the burning building and goes, not exactly how I'd do it, but well done. I hope there's not too many fatalities other than our good friend here. We wanted a clean statement.
I believe we let them live. He may have choked on his panties, but that's the only issue.
And the
then.
fountain.
Oh yeah, and the fountain.
And if anyone dies in the fiery burning building, it's their own fault, really.
At that
Yeah.
point, they should have probably escaped the flames.
Yeah. They are all adults. They can escape, except for the children, if there's any.
Tarin's going to look distraught, turn to Blackjack and say, he didn't have children, did he?
None that we're aware of. He didn't tend to leave his toys alive long enough for that.
He may have bought one or two children, but that's.
There could be old people
Oh
there.
no, that's a horrible thought.
I'm glad to play a psychopath.
Spades very softly turns around and taps Blackjack on the shoulder and then looks at the rest of you and goes, best if we discuss this somewhere a little less excitable than here. I
Sounds
believe
good.
the show down the road is gathering some attention. Even as he gestures, you see a large number of the city guard are rushing down to see what is going on. And Spades mutters something and then shadows envelope all of you.
Ooh,
Wait, what?
shadows.
Okay.
Some sort of
Hi, shadows.
The very, very shadows that you're standing in seem to reach out and wrap around you. The guards don't look too much in your direction, but those that do seem to stare right through the shadows as if there is nothing of interest there and continue on.
Tarin's just going to mutter under his breath. Oh, that was incredibly cool.
Spades just gives a soft smile and goes, "Best we're gone. I'm not going to be able to do that for very much longer."
We'll run.
Yeah, that was pretty nice. I didn't really understand what happened, but it was nice.
With that, Blackjack offers you all a bow and goes, "We're going off back to the Shattered Hand, but the rest of you, probably best if you head to your ship. Gives you a good alibi for where you were when all this goes down."
Just quickly before you go, you wanted the head as proof. Now that we've proven to you guys that this head is here, could I keep it?
You can do with that head whatever you want.
Good.
The fifth will hear from me that the task is done.
What about the other 4?
Oh, hey, Captain. Captain, if they're returning to the ship, to the hand, is it an idea that they look out for our friend?
Yes. So, basically, there was a gentleman who was given shelter in the Shattered Hand, who I'm looking for, and personally, any sort of reward for this task, I'm very much willing to give up whatever my part of the share would be, if instead I could have this man and have a very private conversation with him.
Out of character quickly, this was one of the deserters from the ship
Yep.
that we saw. So he's technically a criminal, but to everybody in Port Marley, isn't he?
Yep, he's Shayak.
Yeah.
He's the war enemy.
Okay. In which case, Tarin's going to just lean into Blackjack and Spades and be like, "He's a Shayak," and lean back again.
Dwarf looks at you, Tarin, and raises an eyebrow. And then looks at the rest of you and goes, "Well, that's interesting. Wasn't aware that there were any in port."
Only the survivors.
I made him a very generous offer to be a part of our crew, and he betrayed any trust I gave to him, so I need words.
Well, I'd say more fool you for trusting any of the Shayak, but at the same time, more fool him for betraying you lot.
He'll find out when he burns.
I'm sure he will. If he's hiding out at the Shattered Hand, I'll sniff him out. But if he's got any sense about him, he'll have made himself extremely scarce. He's kind and not exactly the most welcome in this city. I can't say that he's already made passage out. The various patrons of the tavern are good at doing that kind of business, unfortunately.
Even if he has made passage out, I would adore the information as to where he was headed or what ship he was on.
If I get that information, I can guarantee that you'll have it in your hand before you leave port.
Thank you very much.
But having that fiasco across the road over there, I recommend that you don't stay in port too much longer.
Our ship's supposed to be done in, 24 hours?
Well, I'm no shipbuilder, but with the amount of work that's been going into that one, wouldn't surprise me. But I must bid you a good night. Enjoy and celebrate. And enjoy your head. And he winks at Edric and then turns and starts walking off.
Good night.
Good night.
No.
Oh, that was a good mission, wasn't it?
Flawless.
Yeah, no problems at all.
Quite
Right.
a plan.
Let's go and have a good night's sleep.
Wait. Did
Or
you
should
say
we celebrate?
according to plan?
All went according to plan.
Yeah, we went and killed him, didn't we? That was the plan.
To be fair, he was shot in the face, so
Yes.
It doesn't matter how he died. The important bit is that he died. It's all went according to plan.
and we did kind of just waltz right in as well, in a weird, sneaky way.
The plan was to kill him. We killed him. That's it. Well, okay. I think I'm ready to go to actual sleep.
What I'll do is I'll get a goodbye from all of you, and
Give me a few seconds.
Yep.
Nearly done. Custom memes.
well done.
That is true art.
I'll get a yo-ho from the rest of you when you're ready, and then we can let a certain mug get some actual shut-eye.
Yo ho.
Yo ho!
Yeah.
Yo, oh.